Woo, it's nasty work. Is it safe to come outside? Good Lord. The Chicago Sky gets smoked by 40 at home? Oh.
The Chicago Sky's 40-point implosion wasn't just a bad game, it was a symptom of a much deeper problem, a calculated disappearing act by its biggest star, Angel Reese. Just days after dazzling at the All-Star game, a walking spectacle of confidence and couture, she vanished. In her place, a mysterious back injury surfaced, just in time for her team to suffer one of the most humiliating home defeats imaginable. This wasn't a simple injury, it was the moment a franchise's hopes unraveled, exposing a stunning conflict between brand and basketball, loyalty and optics, and the story behind it is far more calculated than anyone realizes.
She was turning her season around. Just when I thought Angel Reese was graduating from pretend basketball player to make-believe basketball player, the level where it's almost believable that Angel Reese is a basketball player. Just when I thought Angel Reese would pull through in the clutch.
Just days before her team's epic collapse, Angel Reese was the life of the party at the WNBA All-Star Game. She was a walking highlight reel of confidence, serving looks for the camera, strutting in designer outfits, and radiating the kind of energy that screamed face of the league. She was everywhere, soaking up the spotlight and building her brand with every post. But then the All-Star lights faded and it was time to get back to work. Suddenly, Reese was a ghost.
For the All-Star game because you're late. But then you went to the All-Star game, you played doing what you do, missing layups, grabbing rebounds. Hey, at this point, it's not a diss. If anything, I'm surprised you actually played good for 2 weeks. I don't know what the fuck had gone into you. I feel like you took some kind of steroids or something, but you became you again, missing rebounds, missing shots, grabbing rebounds, partying. If I'm not mistaken, you're the one who said, hey, we're in Indiana, but it feels like Miami, having a good old time. And then you sobered up. And once you sobered up and you realized you had to play back in the Chicago Sky, all of a sudden your back hurt.
The official story? A mysterious back injury that appeared out of thin air. There was no collision, no awkward fall, and no visible limp. One day she was doing runway twirls. The next, she was reportedly too injured to even sit on the bench. The timing was so perfect, it was suspicious. It was as if the reality of rejoining a struggling team was a heavier burden than her back could handle. But that wasn't even the most shocking part.
According to Tyler Marsh, Angel Reese is dealing with a back injury. Now, it's been lingering for the last couple games, according to him. Now, she didn't play against Atlanta the game before the All-Star break. They said she was dealing with a leg injury. Now I'm come to find out it was a leg and the back injury.
Without its star, the Chicago Sky didn't just struggle, they disintegrated. In front of their home crowd, they were dismantled by the Las Vegas Aces in an 86-46 spectacle of incompetence. It was pure on-court chaos. Passes were thrown to no one, defensive rotations became optional suggestions, and the team's offense looked like a group of strangers who had just met in the parking lot.
Chicago Sky, I've told y'all time and time again, they are the gum on the bottom of the shoe of the league. That's it. They're that piece of gum you step on and you just can't get it off your shoe. That is what the Chicago.
They looked lost, defeated, and utterly leaderless. The scoreboard wasn't just showing a blowout, it was a brutal confirmation of what everyone suspected. This team's foundation was built on one person, and without her, the entire structure came crashing down. The 40-point margin wasn't just a statistic, it was a message. The Sky were in free fall.
Before the All-Star game, then you played in the All-Star game, then you played one game and said, okay, your back is hurting. Now you're not playing. I don't know. Look, the Sky fans bring.
The story of the injury itself began to crumble under the slightest scrutiny. Before the All-Star break, when Reese missed a game, the team cited a lingering leg injury. It was a plausible, if vague, explanation that few questioned at the time. But after the festivities, when she disappeared again, a new narrative emerged. Now it was a back injury, a completely different ailment that supposedly flared up.
Angel Reese had her worst professional basketball game, and I'm not even stretching that out. That's not me trying to be overly elaborate, trying to Really make it sound awful. No, she was.
This inconsistency was a massive red flag for fans and critics alike. It suggested that there wasn't a clear medical issue, but rather a series of convenient excuses deployed whenever the pressure mounted. It created a trail of breadcrumbs that led to one inescapable conclusion. Reese's availability seemed conditional, depending less on her physical health and more on her desire to play for a losing team.
Said, no, we're not doing that. You're not about to be sitting here playing. You was just doing the Macarena a couple days ago. Now all of a sudden your back is broken. We're not hearing that. And Tyler Marsh, I'm not mad at you for not wanting to pull her out because you're trying to show her diligence and team loyalty. But because of that, you might want to look.
While her team was getting pummeled on the court, Angel Reese was busy curating a different kind of performance online. Her brand, an empire built on social media savvy and lucrative endorsements, never took a day off. This is the Kardashianization of sports, where the narrative you build is more valuable than the points you score. Losing a game is temporary, but a flawed brand is forever.
Chicago Sky, I know you fucking lying. 86-49? Y'all got blown out like that? And then I looked to see why Angel Reese is injured.
She posted about protecting her peace and focusing on healing, all while her team was desperate for leadership. It became clear that there were two Angel Reeses, the fierce competitor when the spotlight was bright, and the absent icon when the grind of a losing season set in. The business of being Angel Reese was thriving, even as the Chicago Sky was publicly failing.
Point in time, I know they wish they kept Kennedy Carter. I know they wish they kept Kennedy Carter. Hey, it is what it is. But anyway, now all of a sudden your back is hurting. I'm seeing fans saying you were scared of your double streak being broken. We know how you feel about that double streak. You don't care. You will be the only starter in there playing the fourth quarter so you can get them 10 points and them 12 rebounds. We've seen you do it. We've seen you do it.
This left the team's coach, Teresa Weatherspoon, in an impossible position. In post-game press conferences, she was forced to answer for the disaster with hollow phrases like, "We have to regroup," and "We'll look at the tape." It was corporate speak for "Our ship is sinking and the captain is on vacation." The locker room was reportedly in shambles, a collection of players left to fend for themselves without a clear leader to rally behind.
The fiasco that is going on with the Chicago's terrible.
This entire mess was made worse by the memory of Kennedy Carter, a gritty, confrontational player the Sky had controversially traded away. Carter was the kind of player who lived for the fight, the exact opposite of the energy the Sky now had. They had traded away their bulldog for a show pony, and now they were paying the demon price. The fans, who had bought into the Angel Reese hype, felt completely betrayed. Their initial excitement and hope curdled into a mix of anger and dark, cynical humor. They had shown up expecting to see the future of the WNBA, but instead, they got a 40-point train wreck and a missing star. Online, the mockery was relentless. Memes of Reese photoshopped onto a spa table, while the arena burned behind her went viral. Some fans showed up to games with paper bags over their heads, a classic sign of sports shame. They weren't just booing anymore. They were laughing at the absurdity of it all. They had bought a ticket to a basketball game, but were instead served a masterclass in brand management and crisis aversion. Digging deeper, fans began pointing to a more specific selfish motive, the preservation of her stats. Reese is famously obsessed with her double-double streak. Viewers have seen her stay in blowout games, long after the other starters are resting, just to chase that 10th point or 12th rebound. Her commitment to her personal numbers is undeniable, so when faced with a tough matchup against the Aces, a game where her streak was in serious jeopardy, the theory emerged that she simply chose not to play. It's a damning accusation that she would rather sit out with a phantom injury than risk a box score that didn't fit her brand. It paints a picture of a player motivated not by team victory, but by personal accolades that fuel her off-court empire. Whenever criticism mounts, a new, almost unbeatable defense strategy emerges from the modern athlete's playbook, the language of therapy. Suddenly, it's not about poor performance or lack of accountability. It's about protecting my peace, avoiding negative energy, and focusing on my mental health. While these are incredibly important concepts, they have also been weaponized as a bulletproof shield against any form of critique. It reframes legitimate questions about commitment as hate. For Reese, this narrative is perfect. Her absence isn't a choice, it's a necessary act of self-care. The back injury isn't just physical, it's a metaphor for the burden of expectation. But a scoreboard doesn't care about your inner child. A 40-point loss can't be fixed with a motivational quote. It's a brilliant PR move that turns a professional failure into a personal journey of healing. This entire saga sends a chilling message to the rest of the WNBA and the sports world at large. It suggests that if your brand is big enough, the normal rules of professionalism no longer apply. You can become bigger than the team. The Chicago Sky's front office made their choice when they traded Kennedy Carter. They traded a player who was called a problem for being too competitive for a star who has become a problem for seemingly not being competitive enough when it counts. Imagine being one of the other players on that team, showing up every day, playing through pain, and watching the franchise's centerpiece operate on a completely different set of standards. It breeds resentment and destroys morale from the inside out. The franchise didn't just lose a game, they may have lost their locker room. In the end, this entire fiasco reveals a bigger, more unsettling truth about the new age of sports stardom. This wasn't just about a single loss or a questionable injury. It was a case study in the clash between old school team accountability and new school influencer culture. Angel Reese is a phenomenal talent and a marketing genius, but her vanishing act exposed a critical flaw in her approach. A true leader doesn't just show up for the photo ops, they show up for the fight, especially when the team is down. The Chicago Sky season may be lost, but the questions this saga raises will linger long after. Is this the new model for superstardom, where protecting the brand outweighs playing the game? Or is the story of Angel Reese and the 40-point collapse a cautionary tale, a stark warning to athletes who believe they can have the crown without ever bearing its weight?